You ever wake up and to find out your whole world changed like overnight? Someone just steamrolled your life's work. That's pretty much how I learned. There were 96 shiny new houses slapped across the very land my parents bled for land. I'd spent decades protecting, all because some hotshot HOA thought they'd hit the jackpot. You know what I mean? I'm talking about the kind of land folks in Macon, Georgia barely even notice, nearly 40 acres ragged and wild, where I learned to chase fireflies and trace my daddy's footsteps as he'd remind me Marjorie Land's the only thing they ain't making more of. So yeah, when developers started sniffing around, I wasn't one to blink. I paid the taxes, kept the deeds locked away, had my friend Samuel, the attorney, check the title every few years, belt and suspenders, he used to say. But that's just how I was raised. So one sweltering summer afternoon, I'm driving along the old back road and spot a bulldozer tearing up earth right by my tree line. At first I figure it's county work, maybe fixing water lines, but next week there are stakes in neat rows and the thump of concrete mixers. "Excuse me, what's going on here?" I ask a worker in a neon vest. He barely glances up. "New subdivision, ma'am, Lakewood Meadows. 90-something homes going up. Gonna be beautiful." That was the moment my heart just dropped. 90 homes on my land. At first I thought maybe someone checked the records wrong or it was some bureaucratic mistake. I mean, who just builds on land they don't own, right? But as those weeks rolled by, watching roofs pop up and strangers moving in, well, let's just say the gut punch turned to ice-cold anger. Even my friends at church didn't believe it until I yanked out my faded folder of deeds, tax receipts, and the original maps my daddy left me. They didn't ask, I'd say, and they sure didn't check. What I didn't know was the Lakewood Meadows HOA, working hand in glove with some regional builder, had gobbled up every lot around mine, except they never noticed my parcel was still private. Old paperwork, a decades-old clerical hiccup, left it described vaguely in county records. So to them, my land looked like open range. To me, it was a legacy. First homes sold in a blink, new families, unloading U-Hauls, hanging curtains. Kids racing bikes, all under the watchful eye of Clifford Myers, the self-important HOA president. Clifford loved to parade in front of the local press, snapping ribbon-cutting photos, bragging about progress, but he had no idea the storm he'd just stepped into. Now I'm not the type to start shouting or waving protest signs. I plan. That's what 30 years as a school administrator teaches you. Every evening I'd spread out my records, circle dates, draft letters with Samuel. I didn't make a scene, I made a case. And the funny part, they had no clue who I was. To them, I was just another old lady with too much grass to mow. But you see, I'd already set the trap years before, made sure my will and title were clear, even filed a quiet title action in court just to make it ironclad. So while Clifford toasted himself at HOA meetings and the neighborhood swelled with new buyers, I kept stacking evidence, pictures, dates, even shaky video of the concrete trucks rolling in. Every nail hammered into my land was just another nail in their legal coffin. Let me back up a sec. My cousin Thomas would ask Marge, "Why not call the news chain yourself to a tree?" And I'd just laugh. Because noise fades, Thomas. Paperwork lasts. And the more homes they finished, the more expensive their mistake got. Meanwhile, Clifford, the kind of guy who thought a handshake and a charm offensive could bulldoze any problem, brushed off every warning. Some kid at Hanover Construction even flagged my name on the parcel records, but Clifford just waved it away. "Old farm long gone. We'll fix it after the build." Momentum was all he cared about, and the faster they moved, the more they gambled. What's wild is not one person in that boardroom believed I'd fight back. Not the bankers, not the mayor who came by to pose for photos, not even the realtors bragging about Phase 2. Who's gonna fight 96 new homes, Clifford would joke at the HOA mixers. Half the time, land's tied up in red tape, we just cut through it. And everyone would laugh, some nervously, others with dollar signs in their eyes. But when my cease and desist letter landed on Clifford's desk, he just snorted and tossed it aside. "This woman thinks she's gonna scare us." Little did he know I wasn't bluffing. Samuel filed suit within weeks, attaching every last slip of paper I'd saved for 40 years. That's when the anxiety really started creeping in first among the new homeowners. Victor and Angela Ramirez, first-time buyers, found a legal notice taped to their door. Angela's hands shook as she handed it to Victor. "Is this real?" she asked. "They wouldn't sell us a house on land they don't own." But the pit in Victor's stomach told him otherwise. Word started spreading. Block parties turned into hushed whispers about the woman claiming she owns the land. Angela found my number online and called her voice-breaking Mrs. Whitfield. "I'm not against you, but what does this mean for us?" And I told her the honest truth. "You should never have been put in this spot. My fight isn't with you, it's with them." The HOA scrambled. Clifford spun stories at meetings. "Don't worry, there's no merit to her claim. The county won't let 90 families lose their homes." But neighbors started to Google me, found my tax records, my parents' probate filings. For the first time, they realized I wasn't some faceless troublemaker. I was the real owner. By the time the case hit the courthouse, all of Bibb County was buzzing. Courtroom packed wall to wall, families clutching mortgage folders, Clifford sweating through his suit, me in my mother's pressed gray jacket, folder of documents by my side, and Samuel cool as ever. The judge called us forward. Samuel laid it all out: deeds, tax payments, old maps, and even my father's notes. "This isn't a technicality," he said. "This is theft." Clifford's attorney tried every trick, claimed I'd abandoned the land, that kicking out families would cause irreparable harm. But every witness, every document, every surveyor backed me up. And when I took the stand, I just told the truth. My parents worked themselves to the bone for that land. I didn't build those houses. I didn't invite those families. And I'm not the villain for standing up for what's mine. The real twist came from the families themselves. Angela, Victor, even Lauren Briggs, pregnant and terrified her new home might vanish, came up to me, not with anger, but with sorrow. "We just wanted a place to raise our kids," Angela whispered. "We bought into a dream that wasn't theirs to sell." That hit me hard. When the verdict came down, you could hear a pin drop. Judge Long ruled in my favor, recognized me as the rightful owner, and declared the HOA and Hanover Construction liable for damages. Families wouldn't be tossed out that day, but their futures hung in the balance. Clifford was done, resigned in disgrace. Hanover tried to buy me off, but I didn't budge. "This isn't just about money," I told Samuel. "They need to feel the weight of what they did." I even stood in front of the homeowners one Sunday, told them straight, "I don't want to hurt you, but this land was stolen from me." The ones who sold you empty promises are the ones to blame. Some thanked me, some still hated me, but everyone finally saw the truth. When you underestimate someone's resolve, you invite consequences you can't control. Now, the fate of those families is tangled up in negotiations. Some might stay, some might walk away. But the lesson stands: shortcuts in life leave scars, and trust is hard to win back. I didn't win riches or make new friends, but I kept my parents' promise, showed that ordinary folks can stand tall when the world expects you to bow. So let me ask, what would you have done? Would you fight for your family's legacy, even if it meant turning a whole community upside down? Drop a comment below. Where do you stand on justice, on property rights, on the line between right and easy? Because stories like this aren't just about land, they're about who we choose to be when everything's on the line.